Welcome to Austin Action Fest podcast, where the action is. I am one of your hosts, Keisha CG, and I am one of the coordinators for Austin Action Fest. One of our other hosts is Benjamin Reddick, and I will let him introduce himself.
Ben Reddick, aka the Violence Conductor, Lord Reddick on occasion. I'm glad to be here and have some fun with y'all.
And another one of our hosts is Miss Danielle Kevin S. Weatherford, and I'll let her introduce herself as well.
All righty. I'm Danielle Cavendish Weatherford. I'm also the owner of the Rock Group. I'm the CEO and owner of the Rock Group, and I am the Chief Creative Director for the Austin Action Fest.
All right, thank y'all so much. So we have a guest with us today. Thank you so much for being with us. We have Mr. Matt Poitras, and Matt, Danielle has an intro that she is going to give you to give our audience an idea of who you are.
Okay,
All right. All right, here we go. Cue the drums, the clash of the swords, the roar of an army rallying behind one name, Matt Poitras. In a world where the past collides with the future, where warriors rise and legends are forged, one man stands at the crossroads of history, imagination, and pure craftsmanship. Craft, conquer, create. Let it echo, let it fuel your fire. This isn't just a phrase, it's a battle cry for dreamers and creators alike. With over 25 years of mastery, Matt Poitras is the director, producer, editor, cinematographer, prop master, armorer, leather, craftsman, and costume designer whose creations are as iconic as the heroes who wield them. From the halls of MP Filmcraft, where each stitch and stroke of paint brings worlds to life, to the sets of Disney Entertainment, Matt has shaped some of the most unforgettable characters and universes in history. Star Wars, The Mandalorian, Indiana Jones. The tools of his trade have graced the hands of legends like Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Owen Wilson, and Vince Vaughn. Craft, conquer, create. Matt's cinematic conquests are as varied as they are breathtaking. To go Viking in 2015 and Vikings of Jomsborg, two groundbreaking documentaries diving deep into the ferocity and culture of Viking reenactors. No Chance in 2020, an 80s action parody that took nostalgia and turned it into an adrenaline fueled spectacle. Desert Terror 2021, a pilot blending World War II drama with sci fi thrills and total rewind in 2023, a love letter to the action packed absurdity. But now, the crowning jewel in his legendary portfolio is here, Nightlife. Shot over 3 years in the magical realm of Sherwood Forest Fair, this epic documentary plunges you into the gritty, awe-inspiring world of full contact jousting, starring David W. Shade and the indomitable new riders of the Golden Age, with a soul-stirring score by Proud Peasant. Nightlife is the ultimate tale of chivalry, strength, and artistry, directed and edited by Matt himself and distributed by Vision Films Incorporated. This Bad Bueno Films production arrives on January 28th on Amazon, Apple TV, Google Play, Vudu, and Vimeo. Craft, conquer, create. Bad Bueno Films, known for its bold fusion of humor, creativity, and high quality, low budget brilliance, has been the perfect proving ground for Matt's unparalleled skills. Projects like The Last Posse and Nightlife showcase his ability to merge history and fantasy, all while making it look effortless. From medieval battlefields to the distant galaxies, from period specific props to battle hardened armor, Matt Poitras crafts more than objects. He crafts worlds. His creations inspire filmmakers, cosplayers, and collectors around the globe, leaving a legacy of artistry and innovation in his wake. This is not just the story of a man. This is the saga of a creator whose vision knows no bounds. So let's raise our voices and rally behind the cry that defines his legacy. This is the legend of Matt Poitras, a man who doesn't just make history, he builds it.
Oh, thank you.
That was
definitely the best intro anyone's ever done for me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I get jealous every time we do this because, like, I don't know if you've ever have you introduced me like that before?
No, I'm going to introduce everybody at some point. I've got to introduce everybody. So
Okay.
they're long, but they're fun. So yeah.
No, that was good.
So welcome,
Yeah,
Matt.
good one. And it sounds like you did your research too.
I did. I tried.
Definitely. No, that's really, really dope. So we're gonna jump right into the fun stuff, Matt. So how did you get started? I know you do. Tell everybody what exactly it is you do, and then talk to us a little bit about how you got started in film and all this crazy stuff to begin with.
Okay. Well, basically, what I do for a living is I'm a leather craftsman. It's one of the ways I make my living, anyways. Sometimes I work in a film and stuff, so that's another way I make a living. So in the film industry, I work in usually the prop department. I'm usually either a prop master or armor. Armor, for people who might not know what that is someone who provides weapons and guns and stuff like that. I kind of prefer to keep it like on that side of when I work in productions, because the prop master stuff is just handling a lot of mundane props that are just not really that interesting to me. And I have a lot of expertise in weapons and guns and stuff like that, and handling them safely and safely on set and stuff like that. So that's basically what I do for a living. The film stuff has started to pay off a little bit, with selling the last couple films that I did to distributors for further distribution and stuff like that. So I'm kind of an all-around just filmmaker in general, on multiple levels, as well as producing and editing and organizing. Unfortunately, is the other big thing that being a filmmaker and on the level that we're doing it on, like where we're not like big budget level yet, so we're not really even medium level budget yet. But I would really like to get to that point where we're sending out proper call sheets and having a proper production schedule and everything like that, not just shooting a day on the weekend or a day on a weekday or something like that. I'd like to have a production that's like shooting, have an actual production schedule where we're shooting stuff. But anyways, that was kind of long-winded.
Can I ask a question? What's
Sure.
holding you back from having that right now?
It's just funds, really. It's like we're self-funded for the most part. Where we find somebody, like the last screening event we had, someone there decided they wanted to put some money into Total Rewind. So, that like we're not getting like $100,000 budgets to make any of this stuff. It's more like like we made No Chance for 45K. It's not a big budget to work with, especially when you're doing an action movie. So I think like we're getting to that point where the next level for us is to actually get properly funded and make a feature, make a series or whatever it's going to be next, and get that out there in the world. And maybe have a distribution deal before we even go to start making stuff. I'm not sure. We do know some distributors now, and we do have some relationship with some of them. So it's like that's kind of a nice foot in the door.
That's a great foot in the door. Most people don't even have that. So
Well, it took a while. It was about a decade ago. I had nothing. So it's taken a whole decade of just sticking with it after getting my first film distributed, and just kind of learning from other distributors and learning more about the process of delivering a film to distributor, which I'm in the final throes of that with Nightlife right now. I was dealing with a lot of that stuff today. That was not the fun side of the stuff, not the editing and stuff like that. Just providing dialogue lists and music cue sheets and captions and all that kind of stuff.
Got it. So it's interesting you say that, because if I'm not mistaken, I think the first time we really got to talk, you came on the actual event as a guest to talk about the distribution you're referencing now. The first time you got distribution, that was that's years ago. That's kind of wild that we're getting to follow up again so much later. And you guys you and your partner Darren gave a very interesting, raw and authentic conversation. I was forced to let you know, for your sake, like, hey man, this is live and I'm not going to be able to edit this. Are you sure you want to be this rugged with your analysis of distribution? But that was so we always love having you, because you don't tend to sugarcoat things too much. But just talk a little bit about how you got distribution the first time compared to maybe how you did it the second time. Was there a different tactic that was taken? Like, was it like how did it work? What happened?
The first time was with Tugo Viking, when we had a sales agent. We had a couple sales agents, and we had one sales agent that got us to Vision, and that was the whole process to get that through, to get it delivered. And I learned a lot, and kind of didn't really want to ever do it again. And it took me a full 10 years to recover from that process to where I sold another film to Vision, and that was Nightlife. And the thing with Vision is they have a long list of deliverables, and they're not easy. And it's like you can't just get captions from Rev and submit them. It's like you have to, you have to actually go in and type out the captions, and then that's not even good enough. Is what we found out today. They're like, oh, we have some caption fixes for you. So the captions, were really done nicely and had a really high level of accuracy to them. And we just still wasn't good enough for Vision's requirements. So so with that, like in those 10 years, I worked with several other distributors. One was for No Chance, and that was kind of just a giveaway. Like we haven't seen any money back on No Chance at all. And they always tell you, you give away your first movie, and I guess we kind of gave away our first two movies, but one was a documentary, and that's kind of how I got my experience, like learning how to do all this do all these things cinematically and run camera. And then what's that?
Well, maybe they meant that you give away one per like category. So like if you make an animated, you have to give the first one of those away as well.
Well, that's funny because that's exactly how I took it. I was like, okay, one's a documentary, one's an action film, so they're not the same, But the action film, the kind of genre stuff that we're doing is cross genre. So we're doing comedy, parody, action, and so it's a tough sell, and we know it, but we just keep going at it, trying to figure out, like, we're trying to crack the secret of like how do we make that successful. And that's what I think we're doing with Total Rewind, the kind of the third evolution of the whole thing, where we're basically just kind of directly doing our own version of Predator in a short form that's a simulation in an Arnold impersonator's head. And that's where the comedy elements come from it, because it can't be too close. It has to be a parody. So that's what we have in the works. We have about 15 minutes of that done right now. We're about to gear back up, hopefully before the end of the year. Maybe not, but sometime in late December, January, we're going to gear up and go finish the thing, and which is basically just a lot of action stuff we have to do.
But Matt, y'all are really good at it, though.
Yeah.
I see.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're great at it.
We try. It's.
Can we go ahead and show the trailers?
What's that?
I was asking Ben if we can go ahead and show your trailers. We have your trailers.
Oh, sure.
Let's show, which one would you prefer that we show? The main one or the Predator music one?
Oh, which one you got?
We got both.
What, of Total Rewind?
Or
of Nightlife and Total Rewind?
Give you, Ben? I think it's of Total Rewind.
Yeah, we have Total Rewind, Last Day of Vietnam trailer.
Oh, Last Day of Vietnam. Okay. Yeah,
if you prefer Nightlife, I can go find it.
Last Day of Vietnam's a fun trailer.
Okay.
So, sure.
All right,
let's go ahead and show it so people
talk
can
amongst
see
yourselves
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as he's looking for that, I'm really curious on your expectations when you were about to go, for both times you've met with Vision and anybody else, and what you were expecting versus what you got.
Well, I think first one was just a huge learning experience. The second was that too, but the first one was just going in. The film had sat for a year or more, just looking for distribution, and we had a couple little bites here and there, but nothing got it. So when we got to Vision was a pretty decent sized distributor, I'd say at the time. They're bigger now. They've got some pretty decent content on there that they distribute, and they get it on all the major platforms like Netflix and Prime and all that kind of stuff. So they have the capability to do that. But yeah, I think the biggest thing was just having the experience from the first time to help me get through the second time, and working with some different people and some different labs and stuff like that to get past the QC process was a lot easier this time. I mean, it was almost nothing really. I mean,
all right, here we go.
So we got it queued up. Let me mute my mic and then
thank you, Matt.
Off.
It's the last day of Vietnam. two elite soldiers. John Van Ditch, John Dambo.
Absolute badasses.
One last mission.
In a couple of days, our government's gonna be signing the Paris Peace Accords. That means our little conflict over here is at an end.
This mission comes straight from the top. Operation Barbarella.
Have they been captured? We're assassins, not a rescue team.
The president wants these peace-loving maggots terminated.
They'll be at the Enloque outpost, just off the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
They're planning a victory performance. You're gonna make sure that show has plenty of fireworks.
Isn't this kind of a war crime?
It's the last day of Vietnam.
This place makes Cambodia look like Kansas.
Man, this is Cambodia.
Better dead than red. We're looking more swole than our kill count.
Total rewind.
Okay. There's so many moments in that where I'm just like, that is so utterly ridiculous. And
So that's available on our Bad Bueno Films YouTube channel. That one distributors haven't wanted yet. But that's just it's a 25-minute short. But I have actually sold 2 shorts to a distributor. One was Desert Terror, and one was Last Posse. So those are
already, though, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, to sell a short is kind of unheard of.
Yeah,
And,
it really is.
Let's not skip over that. Okay,
Sure.
We'll find the Last Posse image as well. But I want you said something very interesting here. So
Sure.
Originally you said you got to give away your film, right, to get things going. But you just said you sold something to someone. So was there any money involved at all in that sale?
Yeah. The last 3 films I've sold and they all came with minimum guarantees, which are kind of just like an advance. Basically, it's for the shorts. I got $1,000 for one of them. I got $2,000 for Last Posse, and I was like, well, it's not bad. I'm not expecting to see any more of that, and I got to maintain the right to keep both those films on our YouTube channel and have them monetized, and have them on Amazon Direct Video as well. Both of those films are on Amazon Direct Video. And basically the distributor that picked those up wanted it for further distribution in Europe. So it wasn't really even a stateside thing. Apparently shorts are popular in Europe, and the shorts that we've been making are around 35 to 37 minutes a piece. So it's like, it's like a TV episode. So I'm not actually sure what they're doing with it. They've had Desert Terror for over a year now. So I don't know. Last Posse, we just did the deal like a month ago. It fell right on my doorstep right after I was finishing delivering Nightlife. And then I was like, well, great. Now I got another film to deliver. Because it's like, so for film delivery, like the main assets you have to have a ProRes file, usually in an HQ. You have to have your dialogue separate from your music and effects tracks. You have to have all these other assets that go with it. And it's basically like they want it to be the main assets to be in one contained file that's usually a QuickTime ProRes file, and it'll have all those separated tracks. So you can actually go in and click, to click the dialogue track out, and you can just hear the music and effects track. Sometimes the music is separate from the effects. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with that recently, but it's basically, it comes down to just more editing in the editing room to get those assets ready, because you really have to have them clean to be able to deliver. So
is that what so when people are asking about deliverables, this is what you're talking about just now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A part of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. The main stuff is the file and with all their, requirements. And then, you have to deliver captions that have, closed captions for music, for all the dialogue that's in it, narration, all that kind of stuff. And there's very specific things you have to do, as Desiree found out, because she was the one who did captions for Nightlife, and she did Desert Terror and Last Posse. Did she do Last Posse? I think she did. She's done a few, so she's getting used to it. But still, it's like, I mean, just like me and delivering a film, there's like, you think you're going to be set, but you get your reports back and like, oh, there's actual fixes that need to be made.
And just so everybody hears it, who is Desiree? Just so they all hear.
Oh, Desiree's my partner. My lady.
And she helps you co-producer.
Yeah, she's a co-producer. She co-produced Total Rewind. She helps a lot on set. She does craft services stuff. She'll run the smoke machine. She'll do makeup. It's basically like an all around.
She's a jack of everything.
If you have a spouse or a girlfriend and you're a filmmaker or boyfriend, I guess it counts as well. Either direction, understand that you are now also in film. Okay.
Right.
And you are essentially a PA. Okay. You are a high powered PA, and you're going to do literally any and everything that is necessary to get the job done. And we all love you for it. So shout out to all the boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, and wives who work on sets and just make it happen.
Yes, totally. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a side note, just wanted to let you guys know, we got some comments coming in. We have Lynn Mosqueda talking about how many times she's died in that trailer. We have,
well, she became the new Dondaro, I think, in Last Day of Vietnam. Actually, she's a VC over and over again. It's pretty funny.
She's got a malleable look,
Yeah.
She's ambiguous there. And then we got Christopher Winbush. He says, Matt, one of the best in the game. Love working with MP Filmcraft. Then we have James Drake Coleman, who says, love this dude so much, helped tremendously on Isolation, and always love being a part of his works. So just people know this, we had James Drake on here, a few weeks ago. This is how we think filmmaking is supposed to go. These are a bunch of different creatives working together to make things happen. And everybody produces their own stuff, acts in their own stuff, and comes together to collaborate. So it's really cool to see that happening in our comment section. So just wanted to make sure we knew that was happening there.
Yeah, those are all good people that I've collaborated with multiple times. And yeah, it's been, more and more, it's just like the more you do films here in Austin, the more people you pick up to collaborate with. And it's great. I mean, it's like you said, it's the way films should be made. It's something we want to be successful at monetarily and make some money on. But at the same time, it's like making movies with your friends and people that you love to work with is like, you can't really beat that,
No, you can't beat that. That's awesome. Yeah, it's exactly the way it should go.
Absolutely. So of all the things that you kind of listed, like I'm just curious, if you had to pick one, like someone said, hey man, I'm going to come to you, I got $1 million. You got this shot. What is the thing, like, of all the projects you've listed, that this is the one I want to do? Because I know you had things like Desert Terror, who I think, how many views did you get on Desert Terror now?
1.6 million last time I looked.
Okay, so
and that's
that's
the one that led to getting the distribution deal. Like they found me through that YouTube. So it's like the YouTube thing was never our goal. We just kind of had the channel that we didn't have it monetized before that video, even though we had the subscribers to do so. I was like, what's the point? We're not getting enough views. But that one video made it worth it to monetize. And I'm not sure exactly why it was successful on YouTube. It may have been the World War II sci-fi cross-genre thing, or just World War II shorts are really popular. Could have been the SAS was really popular at the time I released it. There's a show called Rogue Heroes. It's all about the SAS in the desert, and that was out at it was made by the people who made Peaky Blinders. So their second season is coming out in January. So hopefully we'll get some more views on that. But it's had a steady climb. It's plateaued a few times, and then one day we got like 1,000 subscribers overnight. Like I just went and looked at our YouTube, and I was like, wow, we got 1,000 more subs, and I wasn't doing anything on there. It's one of those things where I'll put the time and energy in and kind of try to upload twice a week, and nothing will happen, and then I step away from it, and it's like, oh, something's happening,
Let's ask a couple of questions about that, because I know some of our filmmakers are trying to get more into monetizing their platforms, and they may have some questions about how to go about doing that. So what are some main tips that you would give to someone if they do find themselves in that position? Like kind of like you, like, oh, okay, I didn't monetize before because I didn't really see the need for it, but now that I do, what is something that you would tell them? Some tips, some good ideas.
Well, I guess if you get a successful video, just make another one that's like it. That's kind of what we were trying to do with our shorts, but we haven't done a World War II one again. We did a Vietnam one, and then we did a Western, and neither of those got anywhere close to those kind of views. So, but it was things we wanted to do, and we wanted to diversify our content and also stay away from making a full feature, because making a full feature is like 3 years. The way we're doing it, which is another, thing I'd like to change, is like really a feature should be like a year of work. It should be like you go and you shoot it for, whatever, 30 to 40 days or whatever your production schedule is going to be. And then you should be editing it, and it shouldn't take 3 years of your life to do this. But that's what happens when you're doing indie film and shooting on the weekends and shooting around people's schedules and stuff, because you're either paying very little, you're not paying anything, or you're doing it for collaboration trades.
Okay.
Or you're just doing it for experience,
So you're saying that in order to get their platforms going, one thing that you would recommend is once you made one successful video is try to make another one.
Try to make something in that same vein, I guess, I've had other videos on there that did okay. Nothing like Desert Terror did. Nothing close to 1 million, maybe 500,000 or something like that. Wow. And that helped get some subscribers. That helped get some people coming to the channel and stuff and checking out the content. But like with YouTube, it's like, I don't know if it's just a random thing or not. It's for me, it's like I started the channel 15 years ago about just to put videos on of my first like digital cinematography, like the first digital cinema thing I did, because I shot stuff on film, and after I got out of film school and did my last film there, I was just like, it's just too expensive, Film, even 16 millimeter film at the time was too expensive, and then paying for video transfers and paying a lab to do all that kind of stuff was just too much. So I basically just took a break from any kind of filmmaking for about 10 years until I met Darren at Sherwood Forest Fair, and I was like, we talked. He was like, "Oh, I'm a filmmaker too," and we talked, and I was like, "So what's a good camera these days?" And this is like 2009 or 10 or something like that, whatever their first year was.
Okay.
I guess it was probably 10. And he's told me about DSLRs, and I had no idea, because I hadn't been thinking about cameras for so many years. And DSLRs really were the first digital camera I've seen that I thought looked good and cinematic, And so we both bought T2Is on the same day, and that was the beginning of the digital cinema journey. We've made countless projects since then, and the one I'm referring to that we started on was called Blood of a King, and we shot it out on his land when he had more of it, and it was a movie about the Greek and Persian Wars. It was short, and that it's on our YouTube channel. You want to check it out, and it's like costume wise, like my whole intention was like I want to costume the Persians and the Greeks more like they would have really been costumed, or what the armor they would have worn, rather than the movie 300, and
got it.
I did, but it looked kind of silly when you only have 12 Spartans. and a handful of Persians, So our shield wall battles weren't that great, but
I
it was
have
a
a
fun
question
project.
about your I have a question about your costume talent.
Sure.
Can you trace back in time to where you saw something that said, I want to do this and here's why. I want to work with my
Okay.
hands and make these costumes. And whatever I can put my creativity in to put that into the world. What can you remember where that time was?
It was probably sometime when I was an early teenager, and I grew up in Arlington, Texas, and me and Jason Chilton, who still write stuff with, and still produce stuff with, and still make stuff with. He's my oldest friend. We've known each other since we were about 6, and we started making videos together. When my parents, after begging them for years to buy me a video camera, they finally got one. Just one of those crappy 8mm tape cameras that look like garbage, but that's all we had back then. So we were lucky enough to have a tripod and I think a mic that detached at some point too. So that's kind of how we cut our teeth and learned how to do shot composition and composing some kind of a story, as ridiculous as they were back then. And for me, what it was twofold, because like I wanted to make costumes too, so of course we made stuff that had costumes in it. I think one of the first elaborate costume I made was a Nazi jetpack in a movie. Of course, in a movie we called Super Spy Ninja Guy, and that was his goal, was to steal the. It was called the Fart 1000. his goal was to go steal this thing, and it was made out of cardboard and leftover toilet rolls and paper towel rolls, and I hot glued it all together and slapped I think it was a photon helmet. We had a red photon helmet. We slapped that on top of it, and I was like, there it is. And we put a couple smoke bombs in the back of it, and my friend ran down the street, and we pretended like he was lifting up and flying, and that was
Great.
that was kind of where constructing things started. It was like I learned a lot from working with cardboard and hot glue.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah, right.
That story.
The fart part are the
a lot of things clicking. A lot of things are clicking in my brain.
Cool.
But yeah, and then I think later, so in high school, I continued to make movies. I took photography, and my instructor was kind enough to just let me turn in video projects for photography assignments. And we had like one editing board and a decent camera there, and I would have them all the time. Like I was the only one who rented that stuff from the equipment room. So I'd have them at my parents' house all the time, just learning in their den how to edit videos and stuff with no control system, just kind of editing between, two cameras and maybe a tape deck, because I think we had a tape deck too. So it wasn't I think what it taught me was like how to compose a scene within camera, where you're basically editing the scene in your head while you're shooting. I learned that from like a very early age. So now when I go to do stuff, it's just kind of built into my skill set. So we don't necessarily need storyboards and shot lists and stuff like that. Although a lot of times we have a shot list that's kind of a must-have shot list, just to kind of remind us what we need. And sometimes that just flies out the window the second we get on set. And this is one of those things I want to improve to where this doesn't happen, because there's just a lot of things that happen that our productions have so many costumes and props and stuff. It's like I'm running around trying to like get all that organized, with some help, of course, but it's just a lot to deal with, and then have to go direct a movie and sometimes shoot it at the same time.
Being pulled in multiple directions is just
like
the way I've always looked at it. And our team, we've always talked about people being predators, producer, editor, so pretty much like a one-man army. But I think sometimes as independent filmmakers, we get caught up thinking that that's what it's supposed to be. And it's like, no, you want to learn those skill sets so that you're dangerous and you can't get hamstrung mid-production. But you don't want to do that. Like that, you almost are never going to be operating in 100% of one area if you're doing 4 things at one time. Like, I mean, there are people out there who are just wired that way. I am not one of those people. So, for a lot of people, the learning how to delegate and really like direct a set, it becomes a really important skill set to start to learn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great.
Well, actually, that actually leads to one of the questions that we had for you. Like, were any specific days you can think of that got really crazy or something really wild happened? I know the answer to this is yes, because I have been on some of these sets. I'm just curious which day you're going to choose, actually.
Maybe I've buried all those and I've buried them from my memory. I mean, we've had some tough shoots. The last Total Rewind shoots were tough, for a number of reasons, but mainly because we just, 2 days we got rained on. One day we got rained out, and then just it was hot. We were in the middle of the summer because we're shooting in a jungle, so we kind of wanted to look like a jungle, and that's the time of year that stuff looks good out there. So it's there. I think there's like always issues with movies on every level, because I've worked on other ones that had more issues than we've had, ones that had millions of dollars for a budget, and it's money doesn't necessarily solve everything, but like I think in some ways it can complicate things more, especially when you get to the SAG level of making films. Then it's like, well, now it's complicated.
I mean, but many people think that it does. Obviously, it solves certain problems. I mean, you get
Yeah,
better
there's some
talent, you get better
things.
gear, but
Right.
no, I hear what you're saying. Again, it's one of those things where, if someone said, "Hey, Ben, I want you to go make a, $20 million, I don't know, Marvel film," that's probably a little bit above my pay grade at this point in time. I'm not skilled enough or experienced enough in managing that much of a production with the VFX and all the other stuff. Like, I really wouldn't feel comfortable stepping up. It would cause more problems for me than it would probably resolve, to be honest with you.
I would.
That's an interesting thing. I know you would, but I have not directed the 10 million. I don't know if I want the 20 million yet. The greedy part of me is like, let's do it. I think I can
That's
figure
what-
it out, but I don't. The
We got all
business
the-
side of me is like, I don't know about that,
I'd like to just have $1 million to start off with, like that would be. I've worked on films that had that and more, and I'm just like, can I just have $1 million of that budget so I could do my own thing, with my own crew and pay people properly, and
Okay.
crew up more than we're crewed up,
I want to circle back to something you said earlier, Matt. Speaking of budgets, you mentioned that I think it was the first film you guys made that the budget was, or you raised 45,000. Remind me, was the budget 45?
We raised like less than 20K on Indiegogo.
Okay.
And then we put in our own money.
Okay. Okay. That's what it was. You put in.
It was a combination of a lot of stuff, but one of our partners put in the most money.
Okay, so you raised $20,000 on Indiegogo?
Yeah. This is years ago. I mean, this is like probably almost maybe 10 years ago at this point. Because no chance.
But that's we don't want to skip over that though.
No,
Again,
we've had a few guests that have raised quite a bit of money. Can you talk to us about how did you guys do that?
Well, before we get into that, we want to make a note of that. You pre-sold $20,000 worth of product to people.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So just shout out, because I think people often overlook what's happening on these crowdfunds and on these things. Like, people are willing to put up money in the hopes that you would deliver a product ahead of time. And some of these people have no reason to trust you. They don't know you. So that's actually really cool. But continue.
I mean, yeah, as far as crowdfunding goes, I've done it twice. First time was for To Go Viking. It didn't raise much, but it got me enough to get over to Europe and back. No chance, basically it was enough to get us close to the finish line. But then at the end, we found Vernon Wells, and he was willing to come to Austin. And then we, had stuff to pay for, like the sound mix, and we got a 5.1 done on everything. So, it was a little costly there, but we are thinking about doing another crowdfunding thing on probably Indiegogo. And it's really just a matter for me to get inspired to do it. But it's, sometime early next year for the sequel to Desert Terror, which is a working title right now. It's just called Nazi Terror. That may change. We don't want it to come off as too it's an exploitation film or something like that. It's not really that. It's really just a World War II sci-fi film. But this one takes place in France in 1943. So it's not in the desert anymore. It's a sequel. It has some recurring characters in it, but it has a bunch of new characters in it. There's 2 American characters. There's a Polish character. There's some German characters that we'll be introducing, and of course, a bunch of French resistance people. So it's.
But that's actually that actually comes up a lot. I've seen a lot of things, even like Call of Duty Warzone is essentially Nazi. It's Nazi sci-fi, World War II sci-fi.
Yeah.
So
there's some of that
thing.
Yeah, and if you played the Nazi zombie thing on Call of Duty, it's like that's all, like there's like a mad scientist building tech and stuff like that. And I'm sure that was some of the inspiration for me to do Desert Terror, because I was like, the idea had been around for a while to do something with the SAS in the desert, and I just never had the resources or motivation to do it. And then I was like, well, why don't we, combine it with the sci-fi element and see what happens, just to see if that would be popular. And it was. And I guess I just wanted to build, a flying drone that was, gigantic and round.
And heavy.
So do you have a process? I mean not a process, but what project takes precedence over another project that might have an equal bit of action and whatever to it?
Well, the way I look at it is like not having projects take precedence over one another. It's more of like what can you obtain in that time in your life, and also for us, what we're like our docket of films right now is basically Nightlife is coming out end of January. Last Posse, I guess, is going to be out somewhere in Europe. I'm not really sure. They don't really tell me these things. But the next thing is to finish up Total Rewind Predator, and then put that out in the world, which is basically just going to be on YouTube for right now, and see what that can get us, and then work on the Nazi Terror sequel, and then this summer I want to shoot a 3rd installment of the Viking documentary series, To Go Viking 3, because the big festival that I go to over in Poland, in Wolin, it's going on 30 years now, and I'm kind of just like, I really want to go back and see all the people, all my friends over there, and I love traveling and making films, and I have much better camera gear these days to really be able to capture that scene. Like in Nightlife, there's a lot of slow motion stuff with the joust, because we found if you're not shooting in slow motion, it's just really quick, and it looks really beautiful in slow motion. So we shot it in slow motion. But all these times I've been on my Viking trips, I haven't had a camera that did decent slow motion. So now I do, and now I want to go over there and basically shoot some slow motion sequences of the big Viking battle.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Got us. So what did you say your current weapons of choice are right now? Camera lens.
Oh, right.
What are your favorites right now?
So a couple years ago, I bought a C70, Canon C70, which is kind of their most affordable cinema camera that is RF mount. I think it's the first cinema camera with the RF mount, and I bought that to shoot Nightlife and Last Posse on. At the time, we didn't call Nightlife Nightlife; it was just called Joust Project. But I basically we shot like a tournament weekend and a bunch of interviews like 3 or I guess 4 years ago now, and then I just kept, me and Darren and some of our other camera buddies, including you, Ben, came back, just kept coming back and shooting Joust content, and kind of a bigger story evolved from that, and also just getting cooler content with better cameras and stuff was just really kind of exciting. And so that, Canon C70, and then we use R7s a lot, R6s before that. Desert Terror was shot on a Canon R, which was the first mirrorless camera they introduced, and I really liked it. I mean, like, Desert Terror definitely has a bit of a different look than the other ones do.
Okay. Well, that's it. We like to let everybody know, because certain distributors have certain rules. Like Netflix has their list of approved, and
see, the C70 is on the Netflix list.
That is awesome.
Not,
so you're
that it matters,
ready.
but
Okay.
I can't seem to get anything on there anyways.
All right, well, we're going to clearly fix that with the podcast. Not Netflix. Holla at your boy.
Yeah.
Matt's here. Show Texas some love. All right. It's done. We're just expect an email later.
Yeah.
And a
No,
million
but that
dollars for him, by the way.
exactly get some MGs. But no, I'm actually this is really cool, man, because there's a lot of stuff that you're saying is you're just dropping it casually, but um, selling short films, people don't even do that. Moving them, getting anything for them, let alone a minimum guarantee. That's awesome. That
Yeah.
you're basically Cinderella at this point. You actually put something on YouTube, okay? It went viral. People saw it, and then you got a distribution deal. I don't even know if that's replicatable. Um, I mean,
Well,
congratulations, but also that's
thank
years
you.
of work that went into that for that one to hit.
Yeah.
There was breadcrumbs, so there's also that. But speaking of which, when you mentioned how you got started, I don't know if you guys even know this, but I started with my mom's camcorder. Me and Edwin, we weren't even doing short films. We weren't even thinking that we could even do that in high school. We were reenacting fight scenes from video games like Tekken.
Oh, is
That
there
is
any footage of that somewhere? I would
no,
Yeah.
That would
love
be
to
no,
really
see
there's
Where's
no
that
great.
footage?
footage.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
footage of that. There is a tape of me acting as when I was in like the first grade. Apparently I was Aladdin, and I was a star. I didn't tell my mom because for some reason I didn't think it was important, so she's really mad. But we got a tape of me performing. If I can ever get it converted or whatever, I will play it and you guys can watch me be. I can't be good. I can't be good. There's
That's not
no way
even
I
the
was
point.
good.
Oh, you're probably that kid that was up there doing this the whole time.
Oh, I'm sure I was dancing. I can guarantee you I was dancing. There was a
Yeah.
dance scene in there somewhere, but like I can't. There's no way it was good. I don't remember rehearsal, practice. Never taken an acting class up to
Right.
that point. There was no way it was good, but it will probably be entertaining. So I will share it when I can get a hold of it.
Speaking of Matt, I know you mentioned directing, producing. Do you ever put yourself in any of your own projects?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do sometimes.
Did you say fortunately or unfortunately?
Unfortunately, I do.
I love it. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Were you in any- Go
I
ahead.
played a British guy in Desert Terror. You see me very briefly. I have a few lines, and I'm basically just cannon fodder. I needed a guy to die, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm in the very last scene in Total Rewind where I actually do have a scene with Chris Wimbush, and
Okay.
That's awesome.
I play an army doctor.
That is
And it's
awesome.
kind of like it's like a kind of a dry humor kind of almost like a scene you see like an airplane or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, those are great.
We do
Okay.
what we got to do to get it done. Sometimes you got to put yourself
Yeah.
on.
Sometimes you gotta be in the mix.
I enjoy suiting up and doing stunts and stuff like that, even though I'm getting a bit old for that. Like I don't mind getting dirty, and falling on the ground and stuff like that. And if there's a gun to shoot, I enjoy shooting them, so it's fun. I was one of the banditos in Last Posse, and I don't think anyone knows it. Because we went out and shot it. It was just me. It was me and Desiree and my son. And I was like, I need someone to shoot dust rounds at me. And so I had my teenager shoot dust rounds at me. And I set up the camera on a tripod and had Desiree run it. And that's how we did it. And we shot it right down the street from my house. And it worked fine. It worked fine. And it's the sniper's POV in it. So it's like, that's why probably no one really notices that it's me. But
No, that's actually. So if you got a chance to play any role, any film, like what would be the dream though? Is it the Nazi sci-fi mad scientist? Is it Scythian armor guy? Is it like what is it?
Probably a Scythian armor guy. If I actually was going to be in front of camera for a role, definitely want limited dialogue. I don't want to have to do something too dramatic, Maybe like the stoic older soldier, I actually was just in a film. I was just in a film as a Viking, actually, called The Relic Dragon, and I helped them out with some costumes and some props and some other things, and they cast me in it as one of the Guardian Vikings in the scene, and it was fun. I had a good time.
That's awesome. Where'd you guys shoot that on?
It was shot out in San Marcos and in Bastrop.
Okay.
And we shot one day we shot 2 days at Troublemaker Studios in Austin, which was cool to get to go see that finally.
Okay, so this is a good question, but with all the things that you've done, all these different projects you've worked on, it's like, what's the most memorable like moment? Like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. Is it one of your projects when somebody else has said some huge star you got to work with? Like, was it Vernon Wells? Like, what's like the like top one or two moments like that for you?
I mean, I think Vernon Wells was tops for a little bit because it was fun, you know, directing him in a scene and working with him. And he was very casual, you know, both me, Jason, and Darren went and picked him up at the airport and took him out to eat. And, you know, the next day he's, you know, making an action movie with us in a warehouse facility somewhere in Austin. And, you know, for a while that was probably tops as far as experiences go. And that shoot went really well that day too. Thank God. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like there's so many, and it's like sometimes after a shoot, I'm not in the best of moods because I'm kind of just grading myself on how I did and how if I got the content I wanted to get and if I got it the way I wanted to get it. And there's always something that drives me crazy, like, you know, I'm missing a shot or, you know, something didn't go as well as I wanted to. And then usually when I get home and load the footage on the computer and start playing around with it, that all disappears because I'm like, even though maybe I didn't get that shot, everything's looking really good, and you know, it's just kind of the creative process of making movies. It's like sometimes you set out to get something and it doesn't come out exactly how you wanted it to, but it came out good enough to be in a movie.
Okay, well, we know we're getting towards the end here. We went through pretty much most of our questions for you, but I wanted to know, I don't know if we got to ask you this. Was there, if I'm, I don't want to say brand new, if I'm experienced, haven't sold anything yet, trying to make some things happen and get some traction. Do you have any, like, what's your best advice for somebody like that? Trying to make this and turn this into a profession, you know, not just trying to be a weekend warrior. Like, what would you tell someone they should maybe focus on or look at, or how to get distribution? Like, what would you tell them?
So just keep at it, keep making things, and if you really want to be successful in it, and you're trying to be successful in the film industry as well, just work on whatever needs help. You know, if someone needs help in the art department, go help in the art department. You know, if they need help managing costumes or props on set, go do those things. You know, if someone needs a BTS shot, go shoot that. These are all things that I do, you know, on the productions I work on. The last one I just worked on, I shot BTS, you know, on the side just because it was fun. You know, it gave me a little bit more to do, and it made me able to observe the filmmaking process a little closer, and then also replay it. You know, when I get the footage home, and be like, okay, yeah, that's how they did that. You know, and for me, it's like it's just another level of learning things, but also, you know, helping out a production with providing some BTS is always a fun thing to do anyways. I wish we had that on our productions. Like we lack so much BTS on our stuff, and it's like I always find what we're doing kind of so interesting and how we're doing it kind of, because like you wouldn't really know it if you pulled up, you know, you're just pulling up to one of our shoots, you'd be like, are you sure there's a film shoot today? Because there's no box truck, there's no trailers, very minimal crew, very minimal camera gear. There's no Dana dollies for the most part, although we've had those a few times. But that's something I'd like to remedy.
I explicitly remember gearing up for one of these shoots that I was working in with you, and we're next to a park. Those children, and we have, you know, MP4s, ARs, all this like war gear
and a minigun,
like full, like fully attacked out. And I'm like, all right, just smile. Let's just make this not as weird as this could be. It is also Austin, so you probably shouldn't be too surprised that this is happening. But I always is what is going on in the parents' minds. And it's the second time that we've had to gear up right next to like a playground, which was there's always an interesting thing to have to do.
Well,
a couple quick comments.
I took your advice on that one because I that's the one I got the permit for. You know,
you
assured me it wouldn't be that hard, and it wasn't. You know, actually, it was pretty easy to get a city permit.
See, Daniel and Keisha, sometimes I do follow rules. I try. Okay. I break them. I break them when they're stupid or I have to, but I try to follow the rules when I can. In the city of Austin, shout out to the city of Austin. They do make it pretty accessible to shoot in parks and areas like that. They don't make it really ridiculous. And so we shout out to y'all. We appreciate y'all for that. Instagram, we got a couple comments because Instagram doesn't stream to StreamYard, so I got to read them myself. Minghouse Wing Chun says, if you create something that takes off, would you re-edit and re-release it?
It depends on what.
I guess.
I mean that's kind of how Desert Terror is, because the cut that's up there isn't the final cut, and it was actually kind of a mistake when I put it up there. I put it up there to get some captions on YouTube and see how that worked, and I just left it public, kind of an accident, and then I came back a couple weeks later and it had gotten, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30,000 views or something like that. I was like, oh, okay, people are watching this. I would love to put the newer cut of Desert Terror on YouTube and just replace the link, but they don't do that like Vimeo does. So
yeah,
I remastering it and re-releasing it would kind of just be like, well, is it going to be? It's probably not going to get as many views as the original one did. This is where I met with Last Posse, because Last Posse re-released a while ago and it didn't really do that well, although it was shared a lot on Facebook. Probably mostly one of my most films shared on Facebook, but it didn't really translate to a lot of YouTube views. It wasn't nothing, but it wasn't a whole lot. But that one, I have a new version of it. It's just a slightly different cut. It's the one that I prepared for the distributor. And I'm like, okay, this is a little better. So I'd like to I might just re-release it on YouTube in the coming weeks. I've been meaning to do it for a while now, and it's gotten a couple film festival awards too, on just some smaller film festivals. But again, it's like, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what the secrets are. I'm not very good at the YouTube thing. I just kind of got lucky on a couple videos, and it's done a little bit for us as far as the channel goes. We don't make a whole lot of money off of it. It's like every 2 months we see a little bit of payment from YouTube, and we see a little bit from Amazon. Not much, but we're also not really out there promoting it. We're not really. I'm not paying for ads. I'm not really doing a big social media campaign about this stuff.
And is there
Matt, real quick.
Real
quick. Do you ever test your films out to friends and family for adjustments at all, or within the film?
Sometimes
you have other footage that you could insert.
If there's time, sometimes we do that. We had the screenings of the 3 shorts earlier this year, or at the beginning of this year, and that was kind of like a test audience thing. It's hard, we don't pass out questionnaires or anything like that, but I mean, yeah, it's something I would like to add that to the filmmaking process. Sometimes it's just you get so in the depth of the edit and finishing the project that you're just kind of done with it,
Yeah.
Nightlife was kind of interesting because Dave Shea, the guy that's it's about basically his life story. He had a little test screening of it just spontaneously when he was at an event in New Orleans, and I think he had maybe 30 people in the room, and he said they had all really had good marks. No one was confused. Everyone seemed to enjoy it and stuff, and wanted to support it. So I'll take that as our test audience. Nightlife was kind of an interesting one because I sold them my first cut of the movie, and the way it went down was just it had been sitting for 4 or 5 months, and we were originally intending to just release it in parts as a YouTube series called Nightlife that was just like, probably divided up in 3 parts, and it was working okay. And but I was sitting there and in my shop one night and was like, what am I doing with this? And I decided I'd email the main lady over at Vision Films, and I sent her the trailer link and cut out the end of it that said available on YouTube, and sent it to her. And she said, looks great. Can I see a screener? And I was like, shit. Okay. I don't have a screener. So I had like 60 minutes of the film edited, but I didn't have anything new from the new footage edited. So I sat down for about 4 days and edited it and strung it all together. Didn't even watch it. And I just sent it to her. And she said, she had some notes, she wanted me to cut out all the cursing and said some of the jousting sequences were a little repetitive, which they were at the time. I did some modifications there. Yeah, I just went from there. And then once she offered me the minimum guarantee and had the paperwork, I was like, well, now I have to cut a final cut of a film. And it took me about a week and a half or so, just kind of going back and forth. Yeah, that's kind of how it came together. And now I'm happy to say it's a really tight cut. I really like it. It's a really good cut.
Very cool.
Okay. Well, anybody have any other questions before I get to the final and one of the most difficult questions we have for you tonight?
No, I'm just going to say this. I'm digging the guns behind you, by the way. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
These are all tools.
They're all prop guns, and they're all available for rent. As part of how I do some of my living is I rent guns out to productions, and most of the airsoft ones I'll let go without me. So there's some really high-end airsoft guns that I have. Like I have a couple Uzis. I just got a Thompson, and they're all gas blowback, which means the bolts go back and forth like a real machine gun does. And they're all fairly expensive, But then again, I have a prop company, and it's fun to have toys, and I use these toys in my own productions, and then sometimes I use them in other people's productions. But the trend for guns these days in film productions is like nobody wants a real gun anymore.
Yeah.
And it makes the job as an armor a little easier. Although I'm kind of like debating, like, am I really an armor if I'm not managing real guns? But I like what I've learned about being an armor is like I just like making people feel safe around guns, whether they're real or not real. And some of the experiences I've had in the past few years have been pretty positive with guns, and just making people feel comfortable and making sure if you're working with a revolver and it's unloaded, and if you have dummy rounds, make sure they're dummy rounds,
Yeah.
And we got through last posse without a single injury, gun related injury anyways. I think we all got some other bug related injuries, but I kind of did that to prove that you can do a Western safely with blanks, because most every shot in that movie was accomplished with a blank. We did have a few guns that weren't blank guns, but that was because I couldn't afford all the real ones.
No, that's awesome, man. Oh,
so there's your gun talk for you.
Okay.
Hey, that's important.
And another comment from one of our viewers. Who's your favorite person to work with besides Des, and why is it Lynn?
Lynn's fun to work with. She's been with us for the major projects. I can't pull favorites.
Okay, and just so any audience that maybe can't see, that question was from Lynn.
Yeah. That's about her humor right there.
So speaking of can't pull a favorite, here we go. So name a classic horror action film that you feel was done perfectly, and to touch it would be a great disservice. Basically sacrilege. What is your movie?
I guess it would have to be Predator, the one I'm making a parody funny thing about right now.
So wait a minute. Okay.
So I guess I am kind of touching it a little bit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you kind of holding his hand a little bit here.
We're doing our own thing with it, and I guess I just had it in my system. It's like I had to get the Predator stuff out of the way. I've been thinking about it since I was a kid, and it was just like I gotta replicate these costumes and dress all my friends up in them, and we gotta go shoot some stuff. And I mean, it looks like Predator in 4K, I guess, in some ways.
Okay,
I'd have to say Predator is probably pretty good. I wouldn't say perfect movie, because I don't really think that exists, but I would say it's pretty up there. It's got a really great. I mean, like, it's hard to I'll watch it for reference a lot of times, so I'll just end up watching the whole movie, because it's hard to it's hard to walk away from it. You're just like, oh, let me just keep watching this because it's so cool. But I'd say that's
awesome. It's crazy that older movies like that are still hold up like that, and we have so many things now that just don't.
Yeah, I know. It's few and far between when you find a movie these days that is an action movie, especially, that has those kind of elements in it. I found more or less like this. There's a lot of good series that exist these days. Not necessarily action series, but there's a lot. a really good series out there to watch. Which is more to watch, it's more content.
Absolutely. I've been watching clips of
What's your
Landman.
favorite series that
I think they wrote me in right now.
Favorite series? I would have to say The Nick. It is a two-parter, 2-season, 10 episodes Soderbergh masterpiece that takes place in New York in the early 1900s. Stars Clive Owen, and I think Soderbergh shot the whole thing on a red, like he actually physically shot it. He was the DP. I think he edited it. I think he directed it. I think he wrote it.
Okay.
And it's got some really amazing music by Cliff Martinez, I believe is the artist. But I would have to say The Nick is my favorite series. It's about 10 years old, I think, or more, and it's just a really good look on what it was like to be a doctor at the hospital called the Knickerbocker in New York in 1900. It's really, really interesting times. Probably why I set Last Policy in 1903.
Okay. Awesome. Well, also just so sweet. Facebook here, we got Paul Purvis. He says The Thing by John Carpenter. That's his choice. Right.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So what we're gonna have to probably do is get some of you action fans back, because we're gonna do some movie reviews real soon. I think tomorrow we're looking at maybe talking about, we went and watched Craven, so we might have to weigh in. Have you seen Craven yet, Matt?
No, but I heard the Critical Drinker's review of it today.
I'm trying to avoid people's reviews because sometimes they review things and like, oh, I hate it so much. I'm like, well, it was a 6. I didn't hate it. So I'm trying to walk in with eyes unclouded by judgment. Okay. But we're going to start doing that too. Some people, all our film fans out there, we're going to start throwing it out. We'll have some of you on the show to talk about some movies we watch, because I've been taking a break, but now I'm re-engaging my work with my movie pass, and I got to put it to use. I got way too many credits, so I'm about to burn through everything that comes out that's got action in it. I will be in a theater, and I will tell you if it is worth your $15.99. All right, so
how much is it these days?
I don't
know.
$60
for the movies?
23, 15.
Yeah.
I don't walk out the theater without spending like $50-$60. Dead serious, because it's normally at least me eating or me and Erica eating, and it gets expensive very quickly.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. So I'm a fan of MoviePass. For the time being, MoviePass is a pretty good deal. But on that note, we got to wrap up here. But Matt, if people want to follow you on your journey, what you got going on, support any of your projects, where should they go? Where's the best way to reach you if they want to hire you? Like, what are we doing here?
I mean, you can always reach out to me on Facebook, emails, a good way to get in contact with me too. If you want to check out my website, it's mpfilmcraft.com. Bad Bueno Films on YouTube is our channel if you want to keep up with our video content. That's pretty much it. We do have stuff on Amazon video. I don't think you can look us up by studio, but you might be able to. But Desert Terrace up there, Vikings and Jomsborg, the full feature is up there for sale. That was another one that I was offered Vision wanted to pick that one up, and at the time I just couldn't do it because it was too close to the last time I had to do a delivery with them, and I was just like, so when it came back around to Nightlife, I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this one. But anyways, Vikings and Jomsborg is up on there, so yeah, you can follow me on those things or send me a friend request on Facebook.
Cool, man. That's what I like to hear. So, Keisha, Danielle, any final words before we get out of here?
I just say thank you for being here. I appreciate your craft, your talent.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yep, pretty much the same. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate your time, and thank you for talking with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This is fun, guys.
Yeah, so this has been Action Addicts Podcast. Thank you for joining us, everybody in the crowd. Please like, share, subscribe. We need to get those numbers up so we can bring you bigger and better guests. The more numbers we get, the better guests we can put on here. Please continue to engage, shoot us comments. We follow those things after the show as well. And join us live. We're here almost every single week. Join us live every other week. Join us live. have questions ready, because these guests we have, as you can see, with people like Matt, they're willing to tell you the secrets. They're willing to. Most people are very open-handed with the information, and that's why I bring them on, and it's to help educate everybody so everybody moves forward collectively. On that note, we love you guys. Keep fighting. Bonds Conductor, I'm out.